This is a conversation with Michael Picucci. Hi, Michael.
Hi.
So, Michael, how did you become who you are?
How did I become who I am? I guess the who I am that the people would meet today began to really come alive probably when I was about 29, 30 years old and really hit a brick wall, and hitting that brick wall. And for me at that time, it was recovery from addiction that I had to deal with. But what that did is it caused a whole amplified reflective process on how I got to where I am, which I don't know if I ever would have done otherwise. And having been in therapy, of course, when I went to therapy, I told the therapist that I had no family issues, I just had we're a work problem, And she was kind enough to give me space to think that while we dove in. But in the end, I had my what I now call stage 1 addictions recovery, and stage 2, all human beings have. But that's when the traumas of our lives that are unresolved begin to hold us back or take away from our life force or our life potential. And it's more of to me, it's more of a cultural thing than a personal one. But of course, we each have a personal experience. But somewhere around 1990, I was already a psychotherapist at the time, and I had a body experience with a polarity massage therapist, and who I was seeing for voice lessons, which came out of a retreat I had just facilitated, where all men recovering from sexual abuse had this new energy, and they were going to bring it out into the world. We all said, how are we going to bring it out? So I said, well, if they're all doing it, I got it too. I said, I'm going to do voice lessons, which I've always wanted to do, and everyone's told me I don't have a voice. But when I went to this voice teacher who did polarity massage along with the voice, I had an experience in my body. Because she would check in with me and she would say, what are you noticing? As she very, very gently, touched me. And what happened is in a very short period of time, 10 years of trauma of the 80s, for me, of all my friends dying of AIDS, of me being near death on more than one occasion, the loss of my partner that carried me through all of that went through me and was in some way miraculously healed as a byproduct of that polarity massage and voice lesson. And I can remember walking out of her office in the West 80s and thinking to myself, what happened? I mean, I'd already been interested in body wisdom a little bit, but this was something happened inside of me. And I said, if this is available to me, and could be, because I felt like a new person. I mean, I felt totally embodied. I felt my feet on the floor. Everything looked different, sharper. This was special.
So maybe just to amplify, to give some room to that experience that you were literally touched, and in that way you experienced a sense of connecting with all that trauma, and being healed from it, and at the same time feeling grounded, and everything in a way became sharper and clearer.
Yeah, well, it was like when I was laying on the massage table, I had no idea this trauma was even inside of me.
Yeah.
I knew I wasn't having the best of times, but I had no idea. And I never had that kind of experience where it just organically did itself almost through me.
Yeah.
And when it was done, it was done.
Yeah.
You know, when
So
I walked out of her office, I never had to revisit any of that again in any kind of traumatic or unpleasant way.
yeah. But so the two parts that in what you're saying that I just maybe want to amplify to check is that sense of organic process, that's something that you're realizing is happening organically,
Yes.
and that sense of completion.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that is, it is a sense of completion. It's a wonderful thing. I always mirror it back to clients because I think it's so important that we notice it, and we're able to move from that stronger place.
Yeah. So my question was, what made you who you are? And the journey started at 29, and in a way when things were really bad and you were very stuck.
Yeah.
And
well, what came out of that experience, that sort of awakening experience that I had, was really a 20-year study of all the different body psychotherapies that were in my realm or reach, and energy related therapies, and experimenting with them all on myself. And what worked on me, I would then bring into my practice and ask people if they would like to experiment with it also. So what it's done really, it's brought me into living in a whole nother dimension of the world of life, which is inexplicable, really, because you're living between the kind of unseen realities and the seen realities, and negotiating back and forth with that. And thank God, I have enough people around me who are all doing the same thing that I don't feel like I'm crazy or anything.
So that sense of navigating between the unseen realities and the seen reality,
yes,
and the necessary, in a way, resource of having other people doing that, for the grounding.
Yes. So, I think, in a very brief way, I think I have said what makes me who I am. I could go into details, but to me, detail are the details. My presence right here, right now, with you, with whoever listens to this, that's more important to me than the details. Where I am now is in a place of awe. Now, that may sound like it's always happy and lovely. I don't mean that awe. I mean a more multidimensional awe. There are so many things I can't believe that I'm experiencing as real. That when I can allow myself to, it can be quite silly, fun, and a resourceful experience and energy. Actually, an energy that I've come to call source energy, just for lack of a better way to describe it.
So maybe with that sense of awe in the background, maybe we could talk a little bit about the experience of source energy.
Well, to me, the experience of source energy is being with the energy that we're made out of. Which the logical mind, which is part of that source energy, really doesn't have a way to hold it, because it can be sensed, but it can't really be put into the kind of language the logical mind uses. So source energy is just the presence of you and I being here together now, and not having any agendas or preconceived notions of where we should go or how we should do this, and just being together. In that being is the noticing of a presence that is an energy that we're made of, that takes form in different ways in our bodies, and miraculously runs the show fairly well most of the time for us. And that we now have technologies that allow us to access the deeper parts of our brain and physiology, to allow them to realign with nature, so that whatever nature wants, to allow nature to emerge through us, rather than us thinking we know more than nature does.
Yeah. So maybe that's when you use the word technology, I want to use it as a gateway for exploring more. That in a way we're not just talking about source energy as some kind of a mystical force that we don't know how to access, but what you call technology is, say, clinical ways in which this can be accessed.
Yes.
In a clinical
setting.
setting.
One of the most user-friendly ways of getting friendly with that energy, if you're a really logical person and have difficulty with the sensory aspect of it, is Peter Russell's tiny little book, From Science to God.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really think he does a beautiful, beautiful job of showing us how and who we really are. So and if one taking that a step further would be my one of my guides, mentors, colleagues, Otto Scharmer, and the theory U, and how do we then bring that out into the world. These are like wonderful technologies.
Mm-hmm. But let's talk maybe even one step further downstream of how this manifests in a session, in your work with clients.
Differently in every session and with every client. So the best I can say to you is the way it manifests is I do my best to educate them both in a intellectual and physiological way as to what's available to them, as to how we could use the sessions, and what I have found to be particularly efficient in certain places and ways. And I invite them in to the degree that they're comfortable. Some people, faster, more comfortable than others. Some slower. I love your active pause thing, particularly for the people who have a little more trouble coming out of the thinking mind, or putting it aside so they can be more embodied. So again, each session would be so different. I have clients, particularly the younger ones, like 30 under. For some reason, I've been blessed with a number of those. And they'll come in and they'll just start doing what my Irish client calls free falling. They will just come into an energetic field with me and share their inner expansions and contractions and what they've learned from that, and how they're, working that, and asking me for feedback from my experience on different areas that they're a little confused about. And I just share with them whatever comes through me, through the source energy that is me. And I'm with them because we have created this field of source energy that we're both consciously choosing to hang out in.
So let me take a crack at restating it in my own words, to see if I get it. So a sense of, transitioning from, something that is more of a mental process, more of a talking about, to going into more of a process mode where people get in touch with their physical sensation, with the process itself, and in a way creating a field between the two of you where the two of you are in process and you can connect through, that experience.
Yes, yes, yes. And for some people, that would sound like impossible and not very interesting to them. And for people like that, you may just by making that okay,
Mm-hmm.
and agreeing you can hang out at the edge of it,
Yes.
in case you ever want to explore deeper. To me, begins a resolution process.
Yeah.
In terms of that physiological barrier that the client may be carrying.
Yeah, yeah. So in other words, that in a way, for the healing to happen, it takes place in that field, in that source energy, and part of the work is it's going to be like a quick leap into it, or it's going to be sitting at the edge of it until there is a comfort to going there.
Yes.
And this is the space where healing can happen, where natural evolution, changes can happen.
Yes. So for some reason, it makes me want to explain this focalizing idea, process, technology is the word I like to use to separate it from therapy and to separate it from spiritual or religious philosophies, to think of it as a technology for connecting with source energy.
Mm-hmm.
And working at that. But the reason I had to create a word for it is because it evolved out of my experience of working with a yogi for a number of years, who taught me how to hear the intelligence, the innate intelligence of the body, and to work with it. So I already had that. And then doing Peter Levine's somatic experiencing training, he gave me a whole new language and some nice new pieces that went with that, especially for a clinical setting where she had been more from a yoga setting. So it made it easier to bring into the therapy setting.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, I think that's a big gift that he's given us all.
Mm-hmm.
However, one of the things I noticed after doing somatic experiencing for several years is that it also had other applications, like barrier resolution. I'll use the quick example of when I say barrier resolution. A perfectly articulate executive client will come in and tell me that although he's articulate, when he has to go and talk to the boss about a promotion that he wants, he loses it. He can't find his voice. And that's what a physiological barrier feels like,
Mm-hmm. So I want to comment, because I'm seeing you, that people who are going to just simply hear the recording, that as you're talking, you have that body language of, like your body wanting to move forward and your hand at your throat, so experiencing the blockage. Yes. And so when you're talking about that barrier experience, in your mind, you're not just talking about a concept, but you're also experiencing and communicating the physicality of that experience.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I almost can't talk about it without experiencing.
Yes.
So I guess you're noticing that in my body language.
Which is in a way, it's like that the nature of your connection to it is not an abstract connection. It's like almost a mirror neuron experience of, as you're talking about it, you're feeling that experience. And so your connection to that experience comes literally from that empathy, compassion of also experiencing it yourself.
Yes. Which to me is the experience of source energy.
Yeah.
That compassion. That desire to be, to express in whatever way. Mm-hmm. Each of us has it uniquely.
Yeah. So we're in the field of source energy. As you're talking about it, you're not talking about it from outside, but you're talking about it from connecting to the experience of source energy.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, the other area I noticed that somatic experiencing technology was very helpful in was people who had sexual and relationship barriers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they may not have ever seen themselves as trauma survivors. They may, they would never think of the word trauma. So they would never come to do trauma resolution work. But they come for these outer manifestations of trauma.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we use the same techniques with a few little additions, and we let intention direct the energy of the session. I'd like the intention to be liberated from this barrier to be able to speak to my boss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe that's a good example to talk a little bit more about that approach of focalizing.
Okay.
So one element is...
So because of that and because of the intimacy aspects that people came to work with that I was doing so much work in, I realized that where if we just think of this as trauma resolution, a whole lot of people who could be helped with a lot of other issues and maybe resolve traumas they didn't even know they had, can use it too. But it needs another name because somatic experiencing is about trauma.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I wrote an article for the somatic experiencing newsletter about 5 years ago, sharing, my emergence of this and what do I do with it.
Yeah.
The word focalizing itself, I got from the Brits. I went to the first international sex and spirit conference at Findhorn in Scotland, and there were about 130 people there. It was right after 9/11. I was one of 3 that made it from the States. But they called the people who led the workshops for the 4 days focalizers.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard that term before. And in my experience, those people had a gift. They had the ability, and it's a gift that I feel I've been fortunate enough to have as well, to help align energies to the highest level in bringing a group together.
So maybe let's stay with that. What focalizing is related to is that sense of being able to bring the energy together at the highest level.
Yeah. And so I noticed that common thread between them. So I associated this new word focalizing with my experience of them. Never thinking I was going to do anything with it. But then when I came back and I realized, well, that's what I do in the workshops. That's what I've been doing for years. And it gives me a word that I can use to distinguish this from just a trauma healing technology to a larger population.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But so, in that sense, there's also, when you talk about bringing the energy together at the highest level, there's also that sense of the larger container. There's that sense of, energy. So there's a lot of concepts that are, married together in that.
Yes.
Yeah. So in practice, again, understanding it's never the same with every client, it's different. But, what are things that, in a way, characterize your work that somebody might notice in your clinical work that would, set it apart?
I don't know about setting it apart. I don't even want to go there.
Or would you describe it?
What most interests me.
Yes.
I can do that. Is the magic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And not that it happens all the time or with everyone, because that would not be accurate. Well, maybe it does on another level, but with some people it's so apparent that all of a sudden that they and the universe are working together in some collaborative effort of helping them find contentment in their world.
Yeah. So again, nice thing, because it's the exact opposite of where the stuckness is. The stuckness is the person feels very alone in a hostile universe. Yes. And what you're describing is they and the universe work together yes. to bring them to a state of contentment. So yes. we're talking about literally, the experience turned on its head.
Yes, yes. And to take it a step further, it could be a person staying in their house all by themselves. I mean, that could be the right thing for them to feel part of the whole. That's why we have to be very careful and thinking we know what other people should be doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So that connection is not necessarily a sense of being gregarious, but it's at a deeper level.
Yes.
What
yes.
is going to be your connection with the universe?
Yes, because for some people to connect, they have to be in such a safe place.
Yeah.
To feel an inner sense of life.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, we have to honor that as well in any life.
Yeah. So, just let's take a moment to see whether it feels right to leave it at this, or if there's something else you might want to add, to give understandingly a very brief introduction as opposed to, entering into the complexities of this.
General me statement. I'm just fascinated and feel so blessed. Although if you looked at my life on paper and what I've experienced, I don't look like a blessed person. I look like a troubled person. But that I've lived in a time where there has been such enormous change, and that I've been a part of it. Through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Some of it was horrible. Some of it was great. I love the 60s. And then to be part of this whole human consciousness, human potential, technologies of finding our place on the planet. However, wherever that goes, just to be part of the alive process of that is a gift.
Mm. Thanks, Michael.
Welcome.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.
Time where there has been such enormous change, and that I've been a part of it. Through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Some of it was horrible. Some of it was great. I love the 60s. And then to be part of this whole human consciousness, human potential, technologies of finding our place on the planet. However, wherever that goes, just to be part of the alive process of that is a gift.
Mm. Thanks, Michael.
Welcome.
This recording is part of the Somatic Mindfulness and Relational Psychotherapy podcast. See the website relationalimplicit.com.